Good afternoon on day 163, I think. I left Stevens Pass not too long ago, around midday today. Stevens Pass is just that's where the trail crosses Highway 2, and it's just sort of like a ski lodge and resort and mountain biking during the summer. And I kind of hitched all over the place on this town stop because I first went east to Leavenworth, which has the real grocery store, which is why I went there. And I was also picking up a package from my sweet friend Brittany, who sent me some surprise snacks and goodies just to help get through this next section of trail. So big thank you to her for that. And then hung out in Leavenworth for part of the day, and then caught a ride 50 miles the other direction. I didn't actually realize it was going to be that far, to stay at a Trail Angel's house last night. So just lots and lots of kindness in this town stop, from, friends and strangers alike. The ride I caught all the way, across the towns, I guess, was a really interesting one because it's a woman who has definitely had some hardships and setbacks in life, but one of her ambitions is to hike the PCT, and she I was the first thru hiker she'd ever met, so it was really cool to talk to her and just kind of learn from each other. So it's always a very humbling experience for me. Just the I know I talk about it all the time, but the amount of kindness that and support that I, receive from friends and strangers alike, and it's just really, really cool. And that was reinforced in this town stop as well. So now I'm back on trail, and it is less than 200 miles to the finish line right now, which is leaving me with all kinds of feels, confused ones that I can't even completely identify. It's just making me just like a little more emotionally on edge than I might otherwise be. It's not a bad thing. I'm really excited. I've been on trail for a long time, and so I'm eager to get to the end of this, to meet my goal. Part of being out here was just sort of to prove to myself that I could do this, and to know that I'm so close is incredibly exciting, and kind of overwhelming, really. It's making these last, couple hundred miles seem at once like really short and also like long, because I'm so eager to finish. But then I don't want to like run through the last days on trail either, because they're special moments and special places. And so I'm just all kinds of mixed up, and I'm sure I will continue to be as I get closer. But that's where I'm at now, and decided to, because as always these days I am climbing, and so rather than climb and trip over the rocks and roots, I just decided to take 5 and say what's on my mind. So I'm gonna try and get some more miles in today. Good morning on day 164. I stayed on top of Grizzly Peak last night, and there were some trees up there to kind of shelter under, and I got up there kind of as this system moved in, just before it really started raining, and so I could see enough of the landscape to be able to tell you that it is quite pretty, but that's what it looks like now. Check out this cool little sort of lean-to shelter that someone built right along the trail here. It comes with a poem. That's what's in the little bag there. It says welcome and
you're almost there and all that good stuff. But yeah, that's cool.
Clouds haven't totally rolled away, but they've lifted a little, so getting some relief. Hello, Mr. Marmot. You look a little different than those Sierra marmots. You're kind of a different color. I assume you're a marmot. Maybe you're something else. You look pretty similar, though. I'm like less than 5 feet from this guy. He went into his little hole, and then he came around and came back out just to look at me. Seriously, like, he's maybe almost as curious about me as I am about him. Or maybe he's been fed by humans before and he's just hungry. I'm not sure. Teeny bits of blue in sunlight. Check it out. This thing is gorgeous. I can't quite see the other end of it over there, but oh my goodness. So pretty. Does that mean we're done with the rain now? One more time. It's just so pretty and vivid. Much more so than obviously camera captures. But now I have to put my phone away because it's raining. But you can pretty much see the whole arc now. So cool. Like, I'm so close to it, I can't get a full picture of it. The clouds and the sun are just doing some cool things. Unbelievable. So, you know, I always meant to get this far. I just never really, like, envisioned being this far. This is incredible. Morning on day 165. We've got kind of a partly cloudy thing going on today, which means there has been some pockets of sun this morning, which is good. So everything is not as wet as it was. Hopefully that means there'll be some sunny time this afternoon where everybody can kind of dry out. So, but I can see some mountains, and Washington's still a very pretty place.
I think the views are another part of the reason I have such a hard time walking quickly and covering many miles these days. No worries. So, totally stunning up here, even with the clouds. But it's cold and windy and sort of threatening to rain, so got about a little over a mile left to run down the mountain where I hope to camp tonight. This is the bluest lake I think I've seen since Crater Lake. I don't know how it's so very blue.
Decided to go ahead and camp by the blue, beautiful lake. Hopefully it will be clear in the morning and we can get some good views. In the meantime, I'm gonna hop in before it can precipitate any harder.
Good morning, I'm day 166. As you can see, I am still living in a water world. It did rain for a good bit of last night. Fortunately, it was not raining this morning when I was packing up, so that's really nice not to have to pack up in the rain. And now it's not really raining, the clouds are just really thick. When I was at higher elevation where I camped last night, I could see that the sun does exist and it shines up there. But as I'm descending now, I'm in this cloud. So hopefully the sun will pop out at some point today so we can dry out a little bit. Stayed generally dry last night. There did seem to be like some water seeping up from the bottom of my tent floor, just kind of under my sleeping pad, which is really annoying because I wasn't like sleeping in a puddle or anything. Like, it just doesn't seem like enough water to justify my tent floor letting it in. So I'm a little annoyed by that. But like I said, I'm just still generally dry, and it's just my sleeping pad is just a little wet on the bottom. So anyway, you can keep walking through this cloud.
Look at the size of this tree that has fallen across the trail. This is just the root system that's above my head. This is the tree. I'll step back so you can like see it. This thing is huge. You can fit like 10 of me in there, probably more. It looks like I'm gonna have to crawl under it.
There's some big trees today.
Good morning on day 167. Another wet night last night. I believe that makes 4 nights of rain and wetness. Fortunately, it doesn't typically rain all day, so there's at least some time to kind of dry out. I would not say all my things are like dry, but well, especially not right now because I just packed up, but they get less wet at some point during the day. And yeah, hopefully it's cloudy, but it's not raining now, and hopefully the sun will come out and get to have a nice bake in the sun. That would be nice. Whew. Today I'll come across my my second fire closure. So I've got probably 7 or 8 miles of PCT left for today, and then I'll start the Detour. I forget how many, but the Detour does add some extra mileage for me, and but it does take us through Holden Village, which is not normally a stop for PCTers. So that's actually my goal for the end of today, is just to get to Holden Village and hopefully charge some stuff and eat some food, make sure I have enough food to get to Mazama or Highway 20 Rainy Pass, where I can hitch to Mazama or Winthrop. So that's the plan for today. Naturally, I'm starting my day with a climb, so I'm gonna get to that.
I guess this is just life until Canada. Just gonna slosh into Canada. One big wrinkly prune. I don't know if you can tell, but instead of rain, I'm now looking at pretty sizable snowflakes. Surprisingly sizable. Okay, I'm gonna keep walking. Alright, finally made it to the closure, so I'm gonna take off on the other trail. Can you believe the snow?
The sun has come out. The sky above me is blue. It doesn't mean for a second it will stay that way, but that's the way it is right now. I'm very grateful for it. I was able to sit on a rock and have lunch and dry out a bit. And it was great. So now the goal for today, I mean, the goal was always just to try and get to Holden Village. I don't know exactly how far away that is, but the estimate probably is maybe 8 or so miles. From here, at the pace that I tend to move these days, that means I'll probably be getting there like at dark, but oh well. And but yeah, grateful for the sun while I have it. It's amazing how like morale boosting that can be for me. But yep, onward. Good morning on day 168, I think. This is Holden Village. This is pretty much it. It's just kind of like a little retreat center. It's kind of difficult to understand exactly what it is, but I am walking out of it, back on the detour. Probably about 2 days to get to Highway 20. Let's go. All right, so I'm back on trail, back on the detour. I can't walk and talk. It's too steep. But yeah, I got to Holden Village last night. I just missed dinner, so I really just kind of looked at the village and then turned around and walked back out to the Forest Service campground on the edge of the village and stayed there. But that put me in a great position to go in this morning and have breakfast. I also washed and dried my socks, which was beautiful. Set my shoes out to dry. And so that was glorious for a couple hours because I was just basking in the glory of my dry feet, and then I had slipped in a creek and now my feet are just as wet as before. Maybe I was just too happy about my dry feet and that's what I get for being so happy. I don't know, but it's one of my least favorite feelings actually, and has been. It's not a trail thing. I've always hated the feeling of like wet, sloshy shoes with my feet in them. And here we are again. Anyway, so that happened. But I'm back on trail. There are many a hiker who are less dedicated to a continuous footpath than me that have done this detour a little differently. They walked to Holden Village, and then instead of doing this 17-mile trek up to Stehekin Road, and then an additional 7 or 8 miles along the Stehekin Road back to the PCT, they are taking a shuttle and a ferry across the lake to get to Stehekin, and then another shuttle from Stehekin to the road. So that is no knock on anyone who makes those choices. I'm actually quite jealous of them right now. But I knew when I set out that I wanted to be able to say without flinching, without like doubting in my mind about like, oh, they'll accept those couple miles. Like I wanted to be able to say I walked from Mexico to Canada. And I have done that this far. So I just can't skip miles now. But that ferry ride did sound nice, not gonna lie. But yeah, so that's what I'm doing. I am walking up this mountain in my wet feet to keep my continuous footpath. So that's what I'm gonna get back to doing now.
So I'm at the top of another pass on this detour. I just came over the top. So this is the side I'm about to go down. The snow is back. I don't know if you can tell or not. And the mountains are looking mighty.
Good morning on day 169. I am crossing the Stehekin River right now. I got to about this spot last night and then camped at a campground just here. So if I was going into Stehekin, it's a few miles to the east. But I'm not going into Stehekin. I'm gonna get to this road and go west to get back to the PCT.
So it doesn't feel like it should be time for this already, but you can see the beginnings of fall up here in northern Washington, I guess. So it's kind of neat. I've got about a 6.5 mile road walk to get back to the PCT, so here it goes. I made it to the High Bridge Ranger Station, and I am happily back on the Pacific Crest Trail. Somebody put this little monument here for when the closure meant that this was the end. Fortunately though, this is not the end.
Good morning on day 170. I'm in Mazama right now. I actually did make it here last night. I did my longest day in Washington, which was like 25 and a half. Because most of my days in Washington have been like 20 miles, maybe a little more. Just because the days are shorter and the terrain is tougher, and that just seems to be as much as I do. But yesterday it kind of dawned on me that it was possible for me to maybe make it to Highway 20 before dark, like with enough time to hitch into Mazama. And so I just kind of ran for several hours, and I made it, and I got a hitch within like 5 minutes, and it was perfect. And then I stayed. There's a trail angel in Mazama, and so I stayed at her house last night in the little she has a little hiker bunk for hikers, and it's just wonderful, as it always is. And so. So now this morning I'm in Mazama. I'm gonna head over to like the little store, like the general store and inn and everything. It's a very, very teeny little place. But I have a package there and some chores to do. I may hitch into Winthrop today because they're gonna have a bigger grocery store. And so today is, town chores day. But I may zero. I haven't decided if I'll try and get back on trail tonight or wait until tomorrow morning. This is my last town stop. When I leave here, I am headed for Canada, and so, yeah, we'll just see kind of what the day brings.